In this episode of John Teaches Guitar, John gives you 12 tips for buying your first guitar. This was originally a video on his YouTube channel. A link will be in the show notes.
Number 1. Your first guitar. Acoustic or electric? Decide whether you want an acoustic or an electric guitar. Acoustic guitars are great for beginners because they don't require an amplifier. Electric guitars, on the other hand, might be more versatile for various genres but require additional equipment like amps and cables. Typically, electric guitars are easier to play, the strings are thinner, and the action can be a bit lower. When you think about picking up the guitar, is there a specific sound in your head? Is there a song or an artist that's really compelling you to want to play music? Do some research. Maybe your favorite artist will have a list of stuff that he plays online, and that can be a pretty cool starting point. Number 2, what's your budget? Set a realistic budget. There are good options available for beginners in various price ranges. It's important to find a balance between affordability and quality. Don't spend too little on your first instrument, or you may end up with an instrument that will frustrate you, stifle your passion, or cause you to give up the instrument altogether. I see this all the time with my students. They get a good deal. They got a $69 guitar at Walmart. They come in, the neck is crooked, the strings are super high, and honestly, it just sounds bad. What happens is they instantly get frustrated and decide guitar is not for them. These days, there are a ton of instruments under $200 that are way better than my first electric guitar that I think I paid $325 for in the 80s. So, do a little research, see what's good, and then go check it out. Number 3, playability. Look for a guitar with a comfortable neck and action. Action refers to the height of the strings above the fretboard. If you can stick a whole finger between the string and the neck, that is a very high action. A guitar that's easy to play will encourage practice and learning and will be more of a joy to play, and honestly, it's all about the joy of playing music. If you decide to buy a guitar online, stick with one of the reputable stores like Sweetwater, Guitar Center, Sam Ash, etc. They have great return policies, and then when the instrument does come in, have somebody with a little bit more experience check it out and make sure everything's working properly. But even better, and something I highly recommend, is go into your local mom and pop shop, talk with them, let them know your budget, and see if they can find you a good deal at an affordable price. A lot of times they'll also do any work that's needed to be done there right on site. Number 4, body style. Acoustic guitars come in different body styles like dreadnought, concert, jumbo, etc. Each has its own sound characteristics. For electric guitars, consider styles like the Stratocaster, Telecaster, SG Les Paul, or an offset-like guitar that's having such a moment right now, like a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster style. There is such a huge variety out there that you might want to see what some of your favorite artists are playing and then see what you gravitate towards. Number 5 is going to be the size of the guitar. Consider the size of the guitar, especially if you're a beginner or a younger player. Smaller body sizes are generally more comfortable for beginners. I'm a pretty tall guy, so I love the look of a Gibson ES335 or a Fender Jazzmaster or a big Guild Jumbo Acoustic on my frame. It makes me look like I'm not playing a ukulele, but there's so many great options out there for people that are just slightly smaller in stature. The Gibson SG is a wonderful guitar. It's very thin, very light, great sounding guitar. And then you also have brands like Music Man that make the St. Vincent, the Albert Lee, and tons of other things that have just a slightly smaller body size. And then another thing to think about is the scale length. So if you're a young kid just getting started, you might want to go for a smaller guitar, a half-size guitar, a 3/4 scale guitar. And then once you get to the full sizes, you've got things like the Fender Mustang, the Gibson Melody Maker, that are just slightly smaller scales and make it a little bit easier to play for beginners. Number 6, tone woods. While tone woods might not be as critical for beginners, it's still good to have a basic understanding. Common acoustic tone woods include spruce, mahogany, maple, while electric guitars often have bodies made of ash or alder, mahogany, and then some of the heavier ones also maple. In regards to acoustic guitars, tone woods will have a big impact on the way the guitar sounds, but it shouldn't impact the way it plays at all. If you don't know what you want in a tone wood, don't even stress about it. Go down to the music store, talk to a few people, read some reviews online, and see what you think you might gravitate towards. Something with a lot of maple in it will probably be bright. Something with a lot of mahogany in it will probably be a little darker sounding. And that can be good. There is no right or wrong when you're first getting started. The only wrong thing is to not get started. So don't let the type of wood slow you down. Now, when it comes to electric guitars, the primary driver of the sound is going to be the pickups instead of the tone woods. Yes, flame me in the comments, but the primary driver of sound will be the pickups. So think of the electric guitar, the pickups are the primary thing, and we've got two different types. The two most common types of pickups will be the humbucker, which you're going to hear on heavy metal, rock, and jazz albums, and then the single coil pickup, which you might hear on pop, country, on alternative records. Now, there is absolutely no rules. Both of those pickups will sound killer in any environment, but that's just a big sort of generic blanket. So if there's a type of sound you want, say you want to sound like Black Sabbath, you're going to need some humbuckers most likely. Say you want to play some hot country riffs, single coils will probably be the way to go. Now within those two categories, there's tons of subcategories, and there's also guitars that have one of each or more. Number 7, brand reputation. When possible, stick with reputable brands known for producing quality entry-level instruments. Brands like Fender, Squier, Gibson, Epiphone, Yamaha, Ibanez, Gretsch, and Guild have solid options for beginners for electrics and acoustics. Sticking with one of the more popular brands down the road will make it easier to sell or trade in when you want to upgrade. What does your favorite band play? Do some research and see what they like, and maybe that'll get you closer to the sound in your head. Number 8, action. The action refers to the height of the strings above the fretboard. Lower action is generally easier for beginners, but it shouldn't be too low because then you'll start to get some buzzing. Again, when buying online, make sure the company has a good return policy. Places like Sweetwater will even kind of go the extra mile and adjust your guitar a little bit and make sure everything's working before it leaves the factory. Getting a guitar with a bowed neck or terrible action will be a huge deterrent to wanting to play guitar. A lot of that stuff is very easy to fix, but you have to be really careful. The truss rod in the neck is a way of straightening it or loosening it depending on if you want a bow or not. Never try to adjust this yourself. I know people will fight me in the comments, but as someone who broke a bass neck a couple of years ago, I beg of you, take it to your local music store, let them check it out. If you get a new guitar from an online company and it looks like it's a problem, get a hold of them real quick, or take it into your local mom and pop to get a quick, at least eyeball idea if it's something that can be fixed with a turn of a screw or if it's going to be a bigger problem. The lower action will make it easier to play, it's going to make your fingers hurt less, and it's going to make the guitar sound better. Number 9, tuners. Look for a guitar with good tuners to make tuning easier. This is especially important for beginners who are still developing their ear for pitch. If you stick with one of the reputable brands, typically these tuners are good to great. If you start going with unknown brands, one of the first places they cut will be the quality of the tuners. The good news is, if you find a good cheap guitar that you absolutely love, tuners are cheap to replace and usually pretty quick to replace. Sometimes you don't even need a screwdriver. So try to stick with the bigger brands, and then when you get one, tune it up a couple of times and make sure nothing sticks, creaks, or pops. Number 10, what accessories might come with a guitar? Some beginner guitar packages come with essential accessories like a gig bag, tuner, picks, and maybe even a strap. These packages can be convenient for getting started. Most of the major brands like Fender, Gibson, Squier, Epiphone have these packages readily available in shops and online. The one thing to remember is when you're looking at your budget, let's say your budget is $200, and let's say both of these Squier and Epiphone kits, they both got a guitar, they both got a gig bag, they both got an amp, they both got a cable, they both got a tuner, and they both got some picks. You're paying $199 for all of those things. So that could bring the value of the guitar down to $149 or less. I'd rather see you spend that money on getting a great guitar. You can always get a strap for $5. You can get a cable for a couple of bucks. You know, picks are very affordable. The amp is the only thing. It's going to be just a little bit more, but you don't need that right on the first day you get it. Is it more fun with an amp? Of course it is, but I'd rather see you spend the money on a nice guitar. Same goes with acoustics. Do you have a killer acoustic guitar for $200? Oh, but it comes with a case. Cases can be $89. It comes with a strap. $5 to $10. It comes with a bunch of other sort of case candy and cables. Now, for that $200 acoustic, you're really getting a $129 acoustic. So think about spending the money on the instrument because everything else can be replaced or added onto. And then coming back to picks, grab a variety pack. Get thin, thick, medium, extra heavy. Grab a couple of each and see what you like. A lot of times beginners really like the thin pick because they've got everything in a death grip when they're playing their first chord, that a thin pick will be a lot more forgiving. And a lot of times as people get better, they will gravitate towards a heavier pick. Some of the jazz guys use enormously thick picks. So see what works for you. It'll probably change over the years. I know it has for me. Number 11, try it before you buy it. If possible, play the guitar before purchasing it. This might not be as feasible when buying online, but But if you're in a store, take the opportunity to feel the instrument and listen to how it sounds. As mentioned before, I think it's a great idea to take somebody with you to the music store that has more knowledge than you do. Even if it's only by a few months, they're going to know of what to look for, what's right, what's wrong, how things should sound, and then engage with the salespeople at the shops. I know a lot of times people get busy, but don't let that slow you down. Grab a guitar, grab a pick. Let's play. That's my tagline. Number 12, online resources. Read reviews and watch video demonstrations to get an idea of the sound and playability of the guitar you're interested in. Some of my favorite online resources would be Anderson's Music, Andy Demos, JHS Pedals, Premier Guitar. A lot of the brands, you can go out to Sweetwater and they will have demos of tons of instruments and amps, etc. I think it's a great place to start to see what you start to like. And don't forget the YouTube channels of the actual manufacturers like Fender, Guild, Gibson, etc. Yes, they're all going to be glowing reviews of their own products, but you can start to hear what things sound like. Especially important, I think, with some of the acoustic guitars. You really start to hear what the different body shapes sound like. Wrapping things up, just remember, your first guitar is just that. It's your first guitar. There'll probably be hundreds after this. Make sure you get something that will help you move forward to get better as a player, but something you still enjoy. Getting a bad guitar is a sure way to end your journey into music. When I first started, I was 10 years old, took a few lessons, hated my guitar, and then it took me 2 years to pick back up the instrument after sort of engaging with an instrument that I really love and bands that I really love. So stick with it. Ask me some questions down in the comments. Bring a buddy. Ask a million questions. Just be that annoying person at the shop, because honestly, they love it. That's what they do. Well, thanks for listening. Please rate and review the podcast on your platform of choice. Give me all the thumbs up and all the stars, and follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If you've got a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know by getting a hold of me in the following places. JohnTeachesGuitar.com. On Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, you can find me at John Teaches Guitar, and on YouTube, X, and Mastodon at John McNicholas. And check out my Patreon over at patreon.com/John McNicholas. Show notes and more information can be found in the description of this podcast. Grab a guitar, let's play.